proposal that would have reopened the Strait of Hormuz to shipping traffic but put off nuclear talks until later. So that blockade, and the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports, continues.
While enforcing the more than 2-week-old blockade, U.S. Military Central Command said it has turned away 44 vessels now. Other ships remain stuck pierside in Iran or at anchor offshore. The U.S. Navy's blockade has made life even more miserable for Iran's 93 million people. Some estimates say Iran's economy is on the verge of collapse. And Americans back home also feeling the effects of this war. Despite the 3-week-old ceasefire, the national average for the price of gasoline is now the highest in 4 years.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson in Dubai. AAA says gas is $4.39 a gallon on average nationwide today. That's up 9 cents from yesterday, up 17 from the day before. Today's the 60-day deadline under the War Powers Resolution Act for President Trump to end hostilities with Iran or get congressional approval. But the administration says the ceasefire announced last month stops the clock on that. President Trump talks about retirement and seniors issues this afternoon in Florida.
Today, President Trump's going to be holding an event at the Villages, which is a very relevant backdrop. Aside from being a sprawling, vibrant retirement community, it's also an economy in itself with a workforce below retirement age who could really benefit from these expanded IRA accounts announced yesterday.
Every American will be able to go to TrumpIRA.gov and open a new low-cost IRA account. You'll then be able to access the same type of retirement accounts that federal employees enjoy through the thrift savings plans.
So the president's also expected to talk today about the senior bonus deduction as part of the big, beautiful bill, plus no tax on Social Security and tips.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. America's listening to Fox News.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-884-1012 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-884-1012. That's 800-884-1012. What do you have to lose? Call 800-884-1012. Again, 800-884-1012.
The station Delaware and Maryland turns to for local news. Here is another Delmarva News Update here on 92.7 WGMD, WGMD.com, and the WGMD app.
This promises to be a busy weekend in Ocean City. The annual cruising event is on, and that means the special event zone restrictions. Police say they'll be watching. So if you don't follow the rules, you could get an expensive citation as a reminder of your visit. Town of Ocean City again partnering with the Maryland DOT with the Walk Smart, Drive Smart, Bike Smart Safety campaign. Mayor Rick Meehan says they're dedicated to raising awareness and encouraging everyone to stay attentive and follow the rules of the road.
Crossing the crosswalk, obey the traffic signals, walk smart, drive smart, and bike smart. Each of us plays a role in safety. Whether you're a resident, an employer, or a visitor, we're all ambassadors of Ocean City.
During the summer, Ocean City's population swells and resort officials want everyone living in and visiting to have a memorable and safe experience. And it starts with every roadway user taking responsibility for their actions on or off the road. If you plan on hitting the sand with your four-legged friend this weekend, summer beach rules officially returning to Ocean City under the town ordinance. The off-season window officially closed at midnight starting today. The stand strictly for humans through the end of the summer season. Leashes mandatory. Cleaning up after your pet isn't just courtesy, it's the law. Designated dog playground at 94th Street remains open, though, year-round. In Rehoboth Beach, pet owners get a bit of a leash extension. Dogs are welcome at the beach and boardwalk through May 14th, but May 15th, the next day, summer ban kicks in then, and that includes emotional support animals.
WGMD AccuWeather.
Cool today. The sun will give way to clouds, 60 at the beach, 67 inland, mostly cloudy tonight with a shower around. The Low 47, inland 52 at the beach. Tomorrow, cloudy with a little rain, the high 55. Remaining cool Sunday, partial sunshine, the high then 59. Monday, nice sunny day, breezy though, 64 at the beach, 72 inland. More on these and other stories, visit talkofdelmarva.com. I'm Jerry Lademan in the Talk of Delmarva News.
We keep you warm when it's cold outside. We keep your water hot.
From here, for here, 3 generations of Baker Petroleum, trusted to fuel Kent and Sussex County. For propane, gasoline, and diesel fuel, call 302-645-7000.
You're good to go. You can depend on Baker Petroleum. You're good to go.
Listen up, Delmarva anglers. The Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report follows the 6 a.m., 10 a.m., and 4 p.m. local news and sports all throughout the week. Veteran fishing reporter, broadcaster, and local salt Eric Burnley tells us what's biting, where, and on what.
The Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report is brought to you by Complete Tree Care, licensed and insured. Request an estimate at CompleteTreeCareDE.com.
Now, it's time for the Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report, featuring Eric Burnley.
Thursday was bright and sunny at the beach, but the wind was off the water, and that put a chill in the air. For those of us planning to fish the ocean for black sea bass on Friday, the water temperature is 51.8 degrees, and winds will be northwest at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will run 3 to 4 feet. See you out there. Lewis Harbor Marina said striped bass, flounder, and blues were caught from the Lewis and Rehoboth Canal on Friday. The stripers and blues were taken on cut mullet, while the flounder were caught on live minnows. Dan at Dan's Tackle had an interesting report. One of his customers caught 3 black drum on 3 casts at dead low tide, fishing with clams at Broadkill Beach. Otherwise, there were some big stripers caught on sand fleas and clams. This is Eric Burnley with your Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Digital Interactive Friday continues. We're streaming video, and you can watch the program at realnewstalk.com and also at Facebook Live. I'm your anchorman, Jake Smith. I'll be with you till noon Eastern Time. And we're going to be talking more about energy, specifically oil, my friends. And I have to tell you, I haven't talked or thought this much about oil since the 1973 Arab oil embargo. That was when we were sitting on long gas lines. And the fact that we're talking about it today, is it good or is it bad? What are the long and short-term effects of what we're experiencing right now because of Operation Epic Fury and the war with Iran? Well, we're going to welcome in our next 2 panelists to the program. Derek Morgan joining us for the first time. He's Executive Vice President, the Heritage Foundation. In government law and politics, Mr. Morgan served in all 3 branches of government, including 4 senators and 1 representative, in roles including campaign aide counsel to the Senate Republican Party Committee and chief of staff to Senator Ben Sasse in Nebraska. In addition, he served as assistant special counsel and staff secretary for Vice President Dick Cheney. In business, he's led the American fuel and petrochemical manufacturers advocacy efforts. He's testified before Congress and written and spoken widely on fuels issues, including energy security, fuel prices, and regulatory burdens, such as the Renewable Fuel Standard. Also joining us is Rear Admiral Brigham A. McCown, U.S. Navy retired, Senior Fellow and Director Initiative on American Energy Security at the Hudson Institute. In his recent appearance on the Alan Jackson Show, he discussed oil is the new weapon. Well, we certainly can't argue with that, Admiral. The fact of the matter is OPEC seems to have imploded, and what we're looking at now is what looks to me to be APEC, and that is a world oil supply controlled by America. What say you about that, Admiral?
Absolutely. I mean, I frame this as a contrast between Iran under significant financial and economic pressure and a U.S. system that's now operating from structural strength. While being candid, the global pricing still drives what Americans pay at the pump, and there's some things that we can do about that. But Donald Trump is trying to end a forever war, one that's been going on for 47 years by the greatest sponsor of state terrorism on the planet.
And Derek, I was listening to Secretary of War Hegseth being grilled at the Senate hearing yesterday, and New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand said to Secretary of War Hegseth, "What has Iran done to us that we had to go and attack them?" Is she kidding me? Does she want to talk to some United States Marines that survived the barracks, the Beirut barracks attack in November of 1983?
Yeah, that's right. It's been 47 years, as the Admiral rightly points out. We not only had that attack, you had IEDs being pushed into Iraq and killing hundreds, if not thousands, of American soldiers as well. They have been at war with us for a long time. And I think the Admiral's right. 47 years of war against us. It's taken this president with smart policy, uniting the whole region in his first term toward the Abraham Accords, has really allowed us to have a strong foundation now to take on the Iranian regime on our terms.
How do you see OPEC since the UAE has withdrawn from OPEC? How much of a significant blow is that to the organization itself?
It is a blow, no doubt. Really, the UAE had about a quarter of the spare capacity of that cartel, so it will hurt a little bit. But you've still got a sizable number of countries that are willing to curtail production to try to keep prices up. So I don't think it's a death knell by any means for that cartel. I think that Saudi Arabia still has plenty of spare capacity, but it is a sign that UAE will get maybe 1.5 million more barrels on the market globally. And as the Admiral points out, that will certainly be what drives oil and ultimately gasoline prices. So it's I'd say a start to undoing the cartel, but it's certainly not a death blow at this point.
Admiral, if we can look at all of those events that have happened since the commencement of Operation Epic Fury, can you tell us, in your estimation, what were the successes and perhaps what are some of the missteps that you noted?
Well, first and foremost, during Desert Storm, we had 3 carriers inside the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Gulf there, and a lot has changed. The precision weaponry, the planning that has been conducted by the CENTCOM commander has been absolutely fantastic. This is something we've been preparing for a very long time, and the president is absolutely correct. Iran does not have a functioning military. However, they still have small boats. They can still wreak havoc. And I think one of the lessons that we should have taken on board a little more seriously from the Russian-Ukrainian conflict is how cheaper weapon systems can really penetrate modern defenses, even layered defenses like we have. And we have to do a better job of countering that UAV and UAS threat.
Now, that situation with respect to those weapons, a lot has changed in warfare. Some things we've learned by watching how the Russians and the Ukrainians are fighting a war, correct, Admiral?
Yeah, we really have. And, the Ukrainians are now gaining the upper hand. Almost all the battlefield casualties are not human-to-human contact, but have some sort of weapon delivery system, most often a drone. That is the changing evolution of warfare. However, the United States is doing many things to counter that as well. We have both kinetic and non-kinetic systems, laser-based systems, other type of systems that are classified that can go after drones. But, I think one of the missteps was maybe not understanding that Iran might try to burn down the neighborhood on its way out the door. And so the regime attacking some of the friendlier Gulf nations underpins
Which they did.
Which they have, and which they're continuing to threaten to do. It's problematic because infrastructure is the soft underbelly.
Let me ask you both with respect to the current Iranian oil situation. We hear that they are almost at the brim as far as storage goes, that they are really maybe hours away from having to start shutting down their rigs. Are they, do you think, running out of storage capacity? What are your thoughts? And let's ask first, let's go to Derek Morgan first. Derek, what do you hear? What do you think as far as Iran's storage capacity? Is that a major concern for them? Because they keep saying, there's no problem here. We don't have a problem with storage capacity. They're not shipping any oil anywhere. All the tankers that have picked up oil are still sitting in their ports.
Yeah, that's right. And their domestic demand is also down. Their economy is really feeling the brunt of these attacks. You know, they haven't had internet now for weeks and weeks. Their industrial base is completely decimated. And yeah, they will run out of storage. They'll have to cap wells. That will have some long-term consequences for sure, certainly to their economy. I think that points out that, both sides do have some pain points here. You know, for us, it's slightly higher gasoline prices at the pump. But for them, it's really a decimated economy and long-term damage to their most prized asset, which are their oil fields and their ability to export that oil for cash. You combine that with the fact that UAE and others, including the United States, are putting a lot of financial pressure on them. And I've got to say that I'd much rather be in our position than theirs.
Their currency, based on what I saw this morning, what I read, is down 98% of its value. It's virtually worthless.
That's right. And it really highlights the fact that you're going to have different elements of this regime. You've got some that are more theologically motivated. You've got some that are lining their pockets, and presumably you've got some that are more patriotic. If you can get the theological hardliners out of the way, then you can find some people to make a deal with.
Admiral, what do we do about Karg Island?
Yeah, well, it's having been in that area and around there, it sits almost at sea level. You know, the Marines could take the island, but then, quite frankly, we'd be in the same position of having to try to defend it. I think the president's plan has been brilliant. We're playing three-dimensional chess right now, and perhaps we could articulate that a little bit better. We're removing chess pieces, Chinese chess pieces from the board one by one. And quite frankly, literally, we are. And,
yes,
and that means leverage. This is hard power competition. This isn't please may I. This isn't shipping them pallets of cash. This is you're seeing geopolitical great rivalry at risk right now. But all of that to say, Iran thought they had a strength in saying, well, we will close the strait. And the president has flipped that on its head. If we can keep the quarantine, the embargo, whatever we want to call it, in place, you're right. Within the next 8 to 10 days, they're out of storage. If you have to start capping wells, shutting them in, as we call it in the industry, those wells never come back to 100%. This is significant economic pain.
Excuse me, Admiral, that is permanent damage that occurs to those wells if they have to shut them down.
Absolutely. So their strength is now their biggest liability.
My friends, we're going to need to take a break. This is a fascinating discussion with Admiral Brigham A. McClown, U.S. Navy retired, Senior Fellow and Director Initiative on American Energy Security at the Hudson Institute, Derek Morgan, Executive Vice President, the Heritage Foundation. We've got a number of questions from our listener producers on dial. We'll get to those. But I know a lot of you are wondering, well, what about the prices at the pump? What about diesel prices? We're going to ask that question next and then get to our questions on dial. Your News Talk America Digital Interactive Friday continues after this. Stay with us.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. 66 today under mainly clear skies, west winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, slight chance of rain, lows dip down to about 49. Overcast tomorrow, chance of rain 59. Mainly sunny skies and dry Sunday and Monday, low 60s, Sunday, low 70s by Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center along the coast. Right now, 57.
This is Buck Sexton. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show now airs noon to 3 weekdays on WGMD's 92.7, the Talk of Delmarva.
My name is Christine, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, was a healthy 34-year-old, and 3 months later, he was gone. Thankfully, he had life insurance. Ethos made it so easy. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. 100% online, no medical exam. Life insurance didn't take away the loss, but it did give us the space to just grieve.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. Ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Swim in riches at Ocean Downs this Kentucky Derby Day, May 2nd. Join us for a full day of cash prize events and festive fun. Show off your pub in our dog costume parade. Turn heads in the Derby hat contest. And don't miss the action-packed crab derby. There's plenty of claws for celebration. Plus, enjoy a free live concert by DSB, the world's greatest Journey tribute band. For details, visit oceandowns.com. Must be 21 years of age or older to enter the casino and participate in events. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
For over 18 years, the Surf and Crab in Lewis has been serving up the best in all-you-can-eat crabs and much more. Come hungry for fresh seafood, cold drinks, and beach vibes that locals love. Call the Surf and Crab at 302-644-4448.
Views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and not necessarily the staff, management, ownership, advertisers, or sponsors of WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Your News Talk America Digital Interactive Friday continues. Your anchorman, Jake Smith, live from DS2 behind the shiny golden microphone. And we are talking energy this morning, my friends. Back with our panel. Derek Morgan, Executive Vice President, the Heritage Foundation. Brigham A. McCown, Senior Fellow and Director, Initiative on American Energy Security at the Hudson Institute. I want to ask you both, and we'll get both of your opinions. Obviously, Americans are concerned about the price of energy. So far, it has not appeared to have done significant damage to the U.S. economy. As a matter of fact, yesterday, the market was up over 800 points. The economy appears to be doing very well. Yes, there are hints that inflation is going to be an issue. But again, we've got higher energy prices. Long and short-term effects for American consumers. Admiral, let's start with you. What do you think American consumers are looking at here, short-term and then long-term, sir?
Yeah, well, obviously, there's pain at the pump. We're all feeling it, right? $5, many places higher in other places. So that is a drag on the economy. When we talk about energy security, we're talking about having unlimited available energy at an affordable price. It's that simple. And quite frankly, had this been 1973, as you spoke about in the last segment, or even 2008, it would have been a lot worse today. But it's a global commodity. There's some things we can do, however, to bring that price down, and we've got to get hopping on that.
Derek, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, it said that prices at the pump go up like a rocket, down like a feather. But if you look at the expectation of the market, you look 60, 90, 120 days out, the prices are going back down. So people expect that we'll reach a conclusion for this war, and then we'll have a little bit closer to what it was before the conflict. And we've got to realize there's a lot of things that we're doing to not help ourselves. Gasoline taxes are very high. A number of states, like Pennsylvania, nearby to Delaware, had an enormous increase in their gas tax. Maryland as well. So, we're kind of hurting ourselves with that policy. And then I have to say, too, the president's RFS proposal recently increased the compliance burden on refiners, which is going to increase the price marginally there as well. So he has taken away the Jones Act. There's a waiver there for now, so that helps. Right. But let's get rid of all these unnecessary regulations so that we are not paying any more than we have to at the pump.
Now, this past month, the United States, exported more oil than we ever have in our history. From an economic standpoint, how does that benefit the country? Does it help to pay down the debt? How does it help? We know that in Saudi Arabia, for instance, the citizens there, they benefit from the oil revenue. How would America benefit from the increase in oil exports?
on all kinds of ways. Obviously, it helps our industrial output, not only the upstream where you're getting the oil out of the ground, but then the downstream sector, the refining sector is one of the healthiest parts of our manufacturing sector. We need to make sure that it's strong. So you have those companies that are doing well, and that is just a multiplier effect in the economy. Also, the royalties that are shared with the federal government or the state government, particularly thinking of Texas here, those royalties come back to benefit the people as well. So there's a lot of ways that these exports help. And as the Admiral's pointed out, it is a global commodity. And if we're allowing our producers to find oil here and then sell it overseas as well, you'll have more investment in the United States and you'll have overall higher production worldwide.
I have a question here from our listener producer 3M for the both of you. Is this Iran conflict a power play by President Trump to create a new world paradigm that keeps the dollar the world currency and to put America in charge of the world's oil flow? Who wants to take that question? That's a real loaded question. Admiral, you want to take it?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, no, this is about countering America's enemies and strengthening our homeland for successive...
Without firing a shot, by the way, Admiral, right?
Right. Well, you know, successive administrations have weakened our positions. We lost deterrence. Deterrence only works when the other side knows that you're going to come at them. We've tried to negotiate it with them with our value system. That doesn't work when somebody has a different value system. It doesn't work with Russia. It doesn't work with China. And it certainly doesn't work with Iran. So this is about making us safer. If you think anybody is developing nuclear material, when you only need 5 to 7% for your typical civilian reactor, they're at 60 plus and have a sudden hobby interest in rocketry, you know what? It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out what's going on here.
No, of course they denied that, but the fact is that they're never going to hand over that enriched uranium unless either they're dead, the IRGC is dead, or we take it off their hands forcefully. That's not that I have a military background, I don't, but I think having watched Iran over the past 47 years, I just think that's the reality, right?
Yeah, you're spot on. And, you know, there's a truncated system in Iran. The IRGC is one of the four legs. They're the ones that came to power. They're the ones that seem to be calling the shots today. They're very bad people. They need to go. They've been killing Americans. You know, you mentioned Lebanon earlier, Iraq, everywhere else. Not our friends.
Derek, what are the long and short-term effects of the UAE leaving OPEC? Does that have any effect on our gasoline prices, on the amount of oil which is on the world market and which is driving prices right now?
Yeah, ultimately it will. You know, right now they're a little constrained by, along with a lot of the other producers, with the Strait and you know, getting ships through there. But ultimately, you could see, you know, another 1 million, maybe 1.5 million more barrels once the Strait of Hormuz is open, and then another 1.5 million on top of that if they're producing full tilt. They voluntarily back that off, you know, being part of the OPEC cartel. So yeah, ultimately it will increase the supply there. You'll have to see how the rest of OPEC replies or responds to that. You know, will Saudi Arabia shoulder more of the burden, voluntary cuts on their part, along with some of the other members of the cartel? And remember, you got Venezuela in there as well, and that could crack. So it's looking like you know, more production on the world stage, and it's going to be, you know, more difficult for the remaining members of the cartel to take barrels off the market.
Final question from our producer Bob asks about any links between the Bush family to OPEC. Any possibility of insider trading by the Bush family similar to the Biden family more recently? Anybody want to take that question, or is that not something that you're comfortable answering?
I would severely doubt that. You know, they are a patriotic family. I didn't always agree with all the policy views of the Bush team, but I think they're patriots to the core. So I would highly doubt that.
This has been an outstanding panel discussion. I want to thank you both for your time today on Your News Talk America. Derek Morgan, Executive Vice President, the Heritage Foundation. Rear Admiral Brigham A. McCown, U.S. Navy retired, Senior Fellow and Director Initiative on American Energy Security at the Hudson Institute. Both our panelists and yours truly are Scottish, I guess. This is like a Scottish discussion, right, this morning? So thank you, lads.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Thank you so much, and have a great weekend. We appreciate it. We hope we can have you back again.
Hope so, too.
All right, thank you. You're listening to Your News Talk America. When we talk about the economy, one of the things we mentioned, my friends, is that as high as energy prices are right now, the economy is still humming. Why is that? We'll find out in just a moment on Your News Talk America Digital Interactive Friday. You can watch the program at realnewstalk.com or facebooklive.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Here is the marine forecast from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center. Sunny today with highs topping out near 61 degrees. And on the water, winds turn to the southeast by afternoon, 5 to 10 knots, seas 3 to 4 feet. The current water temperature is 57 degrees. At Cambridge, low tide 11:31 a.m., high tide 4:47 p.m., low tide 11:03 p.m. And at Rehoboth Beach, high tide 8:13 a.m., low tide 2:07 p.m., high tide 8:32 p.m.
Celebrating over 40 years. 92.7 and 98.5. The Talk of Delmarva. MJ Powell, afternoons on WGMD. You're listening to WGMD.
This WGMD Fox Business Update is brought to you by Sussex Environmental Consultants. For a healthy home, call 302-947-1810.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks opened higher in the NASDAQ, topped 25,000 shortly after the open. Investors are looking at better than expected earnings from Apple, ExxonMobil, and Chevron. Apple shares are up more than 4%. iPhone sales rose in the quarter. Apple's buying back stock and raising its dividend. Despite upbeat earnings, ExxonMobil shares are down 1%, Chevron down 0.5%. Chevron says it has limited exposure to the Middle East. Estee Lauder expects to cut more jobs than initially estimated as it pulls back on department store staff. As many as 10,000 positions could be eliminated as part of its restructuring. Its recent quarter was better than expected, though, and Estee Lauder shares are up 5%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Thinking about starting your GLP-1 journey? Go to orderlymeds.com/radio. Get access to proven GLP-1 medications, licensed providers, and a plan built for real life. All online. No guesswork, no wasted time. Just real people, real answers, real momentum, and support that actually lasts. Join thousands already seeing results. Start now at orderlymeds.com/radio. orderlymeds.com/radio. Individual results may vary, not medical advice. Eligibility required. See site for details.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Your News Talk America Digital Interactive Friday continues live from DS2. Your anchorman, Jake Smith, with you. And we'll be getting to our topic about the Trump-Russia hoax. That's coming up in just a couple of moments, my friends. But I wanted to talk about the U.S. economy because for all the naysayers out there, just because the price of energy is going up because of the war, temporarily at least, the U.S. economy is humming. We just heard, again, more reports, earnings reports from big companies that they're doing very well. Yes, there is some inflation out there. We know it has to be. I mean, everything obviously is priced on energy. But the fact is, the U.S. economy is doing very, very well. Inflation's up 3.5% year ending in March. That's due to higher energy prices. Big tech earnings are up. I think, if I'm not mistaken, American Express had their best year ever. They just reported the Dow was up over 800 points yesterday. What's going on? Let's welcome in our next panelist, Daniel DiMartino, fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Excuse me, Daniel. Can you tell us, as all the naysayers are out there and they keep trying to say, well, we're headed for a recession, the Trump economy stinks, Trump doesn't know what he's doing. The U.S. economy is humming, isn't it?
You know, it is. And what's surprising is that it is growing despite the labor force not growing. It is growing despite a very high spike in oil prices.
Right.
And so we can really only explain it by the fact that it's true that artificial intelligence is boosting investment, is boosting productivity. So productivity is growing at about 2% a year.
Right.
And it's higher than it was in the last 10 years. So if this keeps going, I really expect GDP growth to increase. So it's actually very, very good news for everybody.
And on top of that, wages are going up too, Daniel, correct?
Well, of course, because wages depend on productivity, right? If each of us is producing more things, then we're going to get paid more. It's true that the spike in oil prices is going to be negative for consumers.
Right.
But unlike 50 years ago, America is now a net exporter of energy, right? So while the vast majority of individual people will be harmed by higher gas prices, as you were saying, earnings are going up for companies because guess what? American oil companies are benefiting from higher oil prices. And now America is exporting a record 6 million barrels of oil a day.
Amazing.
I
Yep.
mean, it's something that's never happened before.
And it's going to increase the month of May. Apparently, the contracts to export oil are bigger in May than they were last month in April. Daniel, you were born in Venezuela, and you came to America at a young age. And I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on what's happened in your country, Venezuela, since the capture of Maduro? What do you hear from your family back there?
Well, things haven't changed politically too much. They have improved in that, most political prisoners have been released, but there's still several hundred in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, people are just expectant for the three-phase plan that the Trump administration has put in place to continue. Phase number one was stabilization. They've said that that's done, that they're now in phase number two, which is economic recovery. So we're seeing British Petroleum just sign an offshore oil production deal in the coast of Venezuela. ExxonMobil is talking about moving in.
Chevron just
Italian
signed two contracts, right?
Chevron
signed two contracts last week. Right.
And for sure, we can increase oil production from what's the very low 1 million barrels of oil a day that's happening now. But the only way to increase it to the previous peak of 3.5 million barrels so that it's actually beneficial for American consumers is for new drills to happen. And that's a very hard thing to ask an oil company beyond increasing current productivity because it's a long-term investment, right? And if they think that there's not going to be regime change before Trump leaves office, then they believe, and the U.S. government believes, there's a very high risk of expropriation after Trump leaves office. So that's why the transition phase is key for economic recovery.
Daniel DiMartino is joining us. He is with the Manhattan Institute. He's a fellow at the Manhattan Institute. I've got two questions for you before we go. And first one's from our listener producer, Big Cat. How likely is it that Venezuela interfered in our 2020 election?
I would say I can't really tell you for sure. What I can tell you is that they certainly wanted to. It's that the election machines in Venezuela were rigged. That is a fact. And the company that did that, Smartmatic, has been indicted for election rigging in many countries. And so I can only tell you that I believe that elections should be very efficient and on paper and all counted on the same day. And that's my philosophy on elections, given my
No, that's fine. That's an honest answer, and we still don't know a lot about Venezuela's involvement. We know there was some. We don't know. We don't have evidence as to what yet.
I can tell you that they're involved in American politics. They are funding radical leftist groups. There are people who traveled to Venezuela who were friends of Maduro. In fact, the organizers and founders of Black Lives Matter were friends of Nicolas Maduro, who received help from him. Yeah, of course. When he was here in 2015 in New York City, he went to meet with the Black Lives Matter founders right before they started their organization. It is not a coincidence.
Next question from our listener producer 3M. Are many of Trump's domestic economic policies just cover up of our economic issues? Instead of no tax on tips, how about tax rebates for renters, or instead of no tax on Social Security, how about tax relief for retirees selling homes in tight housing markets? What do you say to that, Daniel?
Well, what I can tell you is that America is in a deep fiscal crisis. And I'm going to tell you something that may not be popular for the person asking the question, but I don't think we should be giving more money to retirees, who are literally the ones that are receiving trillions of dollars of our federal budget every year. I think we need to cut spending, and especially for wealthy retirees, so that our children and young people like myself are not staring at a huge debt in the future.
Daniel DiMartino, thank you so much, fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Daniel, we'd love to have you back on the program again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day and a great weekend. All right, my friends, I want to welcome to the program a repeat panelist. He's been with us before, Drew Thomas Allen, the author of The Clinton Hoax, The Obama Coup, the declassified story of the Trump-Russia delusion. Drew, thanks so much for coming on today. And, it is just amazing to me that we still don't have anyone who's been sent to prison for this. We don't have anyone whose lives and careers have been ruined. Their bank accounts have been drained because they had to pay legal fees because of this. But Hillary Clinton obviously started this. But Barry Soetoro Obama certainly is culpable in the coup that tried to undermine the election of Donald Trump. And I'm glad that you have really put together this summary of what happened, because the picture of what happened is now getting clearer and clearer, is it not?
Yeah, it's crystal clear at this point, and it can be summarized as such: Clinton hoax, Obama coup. So that was as simple as I could make it. And it's true. Look, this book actually begins back in Benghazi under the Obama administration.
Well, can I stop you right there?
Yep.
And the reason I'm doing that is because Brigadier General Blaine Holt, I don't know if you know General Holt, of mine. He was an officer at NATO and watched in real time the footage of what went on at Benghazi and what he knows about Benghazi. And that changed his opinion on our government and how our government works. And he retired after that. And he won't even talk about it, but he has changed his opinion on our government because of Benghazi. Go ahead, but you connected the dots starting with Benghazi, Drew, so you're right on the money. Go ahead.
Well, it's really the kind of starting point of, the whole Trump-Russia collusion hoax turned coup in many ways, but because it was kind of a blueprint, actually, because when Benghazi happened in 2012 on September 11th, it was a re-election, moment for Barack Obama. So, a lot of people think of Benghazi as being this Clinton scandal because the Secretary of State and, that department ignored warnings. And that's true. But Obama has a way of usurping even the Clinton scandals because he's so much worse even than she is, if you can believe it. And so what we had with Benghazi is we had the White House, Obama himself, that actually corrupted the intelligence community to protect his reelection, right? So they gave the order to the CIA to revise the talking points about Benghazi 12 times to lie to the American people. And of course, Susan Rice famously went out there on the 5 Sunday shows and says, oh, it wasn't a premeditated terrorist attack. It was a spontaneous protest. Yeah,
Right. It was a video. But even James Comey, he's being prosecuted for his 86-47, I call it the shell game, in North Carolina. But the people who should go to prison probably are not going to go to prison. Their reward is going to be in the next life, probably, Drew. But it's important for us to know the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the minimum amount of accountability, worst case scenario we can ask for is that people truly understand and commit to heart what happened. Right. Everyone involved in this coup, and it was a coup again, a soft coup, they should walk in shame the rest of their lives. And yes, they should be in prison too. And, I will say, it is encouraging to see the Department of Justice pursue the 86-47, shell shenanigans, because the reality is, they're actually trying to get some sort of justice in the way they can, because unfortunately, people have to be realistic about their expectations because, for a lot of the crimes that have been committed, the statute of limitations, which is 5 years, and this was intentional. I mean, the Democrat Party, the deep state, they slow walked all this stuff. So here we are 10 years later, and they are scot free. But there are conspiracy charges, conspiracy to defraud the United States. That clock resets every time there's a new action that furthers that agenda. Right. But that takes years, and then you got to bring. So it's actually quite a brilliant legal strategy, in my opinion, that they're pursuing because, it's clean. It's simple. Now, whether a jury ultimately decides, the grand jury did, but whether the jury ultimately decides that, this is going to meet the requirements and they're going to, find him guilty of this, we don't know. But it's a great legal strategy because it doesn't involve a dozen he said, she said, FBI agents coming in and a years long, attempt to prove this stuff, et cetera. So I'm very happy with the approach.
The one thing that you didn't mention was that we call them on this program the DemComs, the Democratic Communist Party. Destroyed evidence. I mean, I think we know that they've destroyed evidence, don't we?
Oh, of course. I mean, Dan
Bongino found a ton of evidence when he got his job at the FBI that was supposed to have been taken to a shredder, but someone said, I'm just going to leave it for them so they could see it. Right? That was supposed to have been shredded, and it wasn't.
Yeah, and I saw that little clip of Bongino saying that, and I'm very curious, what it is that he saw in there. I mean, the declassified memos that have already been, the classified memos that Tulsi Gabbard declassified that are in this book, I mean, are pretty shocking because, and it's actually ironic. One of the most ironic things about this is that the most accurate account of this hoax turned coup actually comes from the Russians themselves because the intelligence community was intercepting these Russian memos intended for Vladimir Putin. So their objective was accuracy. And at the same, and these memos are the ones that are literally, I mean, think about this. The FBI and the Obama administration are knowingly trying to get rid of the Clinton scandals, get her off the hook for her investigations. And they're trying to go after Trump and punish him. And at the same time they're doing this, they're intercepting Russian memos that are reading back to them like, oh, the FBI and the Obama administration are trying to make this stuff go away. Susan Rice is communicating with Hillary Clinton through back channels about her email investigation. Oh, Clinton's planning this, distraction from her email scandal. And, the Obama administration's completely on board. I mean, think about this. I mean, it's incredible. And so this was hidden from us, even with the Durham investigation and everything else, which shows you, I mean, what contempt even Durham and those people had for the American people.
It's no question about it. Got a question here from our listener, producer, 3M. No, I'm sorry, Big Cat has the question here for you, Drew. After recent court cases and rulings, who do you think will overall benefit from the gerrymandering, and what will the Democrats do to try to stop it? Well, they're just going to do more gerrymandering, right?
Well, look, I mean, the beneficiaries of the Supreme Court ruling are most certainly Republicans because the whole point was the Supreme Court said you can't do racial gerrymandering. Right. You can obviously do political gerrymandering. That is up to the voters and the state legislatures. But you can't go in and, make some, 250-mile snake, around Louisiana as a Democrat that only incorporates black voters that vote 90% Democrat.
Based on racial lines. No, that you're absolutely right. My friends, the book did a great job on putting together what we need to keep in mind because we're the ones through history who's going to have to make sure our children or our children's children know the truth about the way in which the Demcoms tried to remove Donald Trump from office. The book, Clinton Hoax, Obama Coup, the declassified story of the Trump-Russia delusion. Barry Soetoro Obama, my friends, was no angel, right, Drew?
No, he's the devil incarnate, my friends,
Yep,
and
that's
the book lays it out, too.
Drew, thanks so much for coming on this morning. Good luck with the book.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. You're listening to Your News Talk America. We're going to be talking about the national debt. Our producer 3M's favorite topic to discuss. Coming up next, stay with us.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. 66 today under mainly clear skies, west winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, slight chance of rain, lows dip down to about 49. Overcast tomorrow, chance of rain 59. Mainly sunny skies and dry. Sunday and Monday, low 60s. Sunday, low 70s by Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center along the coast. Right now, 57.
The Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report here on 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD. Mike Bradley mornings on WGMD.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-342-0393 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-342-0393. That's 800-342-0393. What do you have to lose? Call 800-342-0393. Again, 800-342-0393.
Is your energy bill punching you in the gut? At Chagrin Home Comfort Products, we can help you fight back with the latest energy-efficient heating and air conditioning systems, tankless water heaters, and gas fireplaces, all designed to keep your home comfortable while lowering your energy costs. Take control of your electric bill today. Stop in our state-of-the-art showroom in the Midway Shopping Center in Rehoboth, or give us a call at 302-644-7700. Chagrin Home Comfort Products, home comfort you can count on.
Tune in this Monday afternoon after the 4:30 news as WGMD's featured guest will be Jim Fritz of All American Mortgage, specializing in reverse mortgages and keeping you up to speed with Delmarva's ever-changing housing market this Monday afternoon after the 4:30 news.
A Delmarva original and one of the country's most successfully owned independent radio stations, providing news, talk, and sports to the peninsula for over 40 years. 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Digital Interactive Friday, your News Talk America continues. It has been an incredible program so far, and I hope you can watch the program, what remains of it. You can watch at realnewstalk.com and also stream the video at Facebook Live, by the way, if that is something more to your liking. But I want to welcome back to the panel Kurt Couchman, Senior Fellow in Fiscal Policy for Americans for Prosperity. Those are contradiction in terms, Kurt. Americans for Prosperity. I've got several questions for you, too, from our listener producers. But we're going to set this segment up this way, and if this doesn't scare you, nothing will. Wall Street Journal article, and I believe it was yesterday, wasn't it, Kurt? The national debt is eclipsing 100% of this nation's gross domestic product. And that's not even taking into account those unfunded liabilities that we're going to talk about also this morning, right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, it's crazy. We've got a debt held by the public, so not even counting all the different trust funds and whatnot, that is larger than the total amount of goods and services produced in the United States every year. It's staggering.
Kurt Couchman is the author of the recently published book, Fiscal Democracy in America, How a Balanced Budget Amendment Can Restore Sound Governance. You know, when we talk about the fact that Washington doesn't pay any attention to the debt, the executive branch doesn't pay any attention to the debt, that's on us because we don't pay any attention to the debt, Kurt, right? We do not insist that it be job one as far as the country is concerned.
Well, I mean, if you look at polling, the American people are concerned about the deficits and the debt because they see how it's affecting the cost of everything. You know, it's been pushing inflation up, which has been pushing interest rates up, and it's been slowing economic growth. We're losing prosperity. We're losing opportunity because the debt burden is so high and growing, and nobody knows how it's going to get resolved. So the American people are there. The problem is that Congress doesn't have the tools that it needs to actually manage a budget. And when they do, then they'll be able to actually do a whole lot for sustainability, for stewardship, and also for representing us and the self-government that we need. So it's an institutional failure more than anything else.
You talked about the fact that it pushes up inflation. We have less money to borrow, or opportunities to borrow less money, because the government is borrowing money to pay off the debt or pay down the debt, right?
They're just borrowing money to cover existing debt, roll it over, plus all the new borrowing that's happening. And yeah, that's stealing from opportunities. I mean, that money could be going into the economy to invest in machines and equipment and education and so many other things that would make our lives better, but it's just not available for those purposes.
One of the things that's changed in America over the last 30 years is we've become a country of small businesses and entrepreneurship. And you mentioned in the information that you sent me that the deficit is squeezing out entrepreneurs and investors. As we carry more debt, small businesses and investors hesitate to create and invest in the economy. The more the government takes, the less the private sector makes. Explain.
Yeah, again, it has to do with the borrowing costs largely, because if you're a small business and you're starting up and you need to buy all the equipment because you're new and you haven't already purchased all of that, you don't have it sitting around, then a small change in interest rates can be really daunting in terms of how much you need to pay monthly to cover your expenses. Once you're established, it's a little bit easier to deal with that, but there's still pressures on that. But the bigger thing is the uncertainty. Like, if we don't get this debt under control and we get into a debt crisis, then what kind of crazy tax increases could small entrepreneurs be looking at? So that alone also holds back people's ability to take a risk on some new endeavor that they don't quite know how it's going to pan out from the start.
That is a great point. And this nation needs entrepreneurship. We do. We can't function without it. One of our listener producers, 3M, says, truly many receive Medicare and Social Security who do not need it. What percentage of outflow do these represent, and how much of the federal outflows, could be reduced? And you say?
Well, Social Security is about 1/5 of federal spending right now. Medicare is one part of a broader federal healthcare subsidy, network, and overall federal healthcare spending is about 1/3 of the budget, and so that is quite a lot. And there's probably about 1/3 of federal health spending and health spending overall that doesn't actually provide benefits to the people that it's supposed to help. So there are incredible opportunities to provide more efficient healthcare that provides better, more accessible care. And also in Social Security, yeah, there's a lot of people who are getting it that don't need it. Literally everyone who has, meet the eligibility criteria are getting it, whether they have tens or hundreds of millions of dollars or, really actually need the program.
Our producer, 3M, also follows up with this question. Our federalist system is being crushed by taxes at each level, yet the debt continues to mount. What key steps do need to be made to balance the budget and stop this accumulation? And you say, Kurt?
The biggest thing that Congress can do and must do is a real budget that has everything in it. The appropriations process that we always hear about, shutdowns and everything, that's only 1/4 of spending and none of the revenue. It really only involves one committee's worth of members in each house. And so if you really want to have the federal budget being managed well, you need to have Congress looking at everything regularly, inviting all members to participate through their committees and on the floor, so you have a really robust dialogue about what's important, what's not, and how can we downsize the wasteful spending and make sure that things we actually need the federal government to do will be there for the future.
You mean the same Congress that was allowing money to go to Leering centers in Minneapolis? That's safe.
There is so much nonsense going on, and some of it is the governors and state legislatures' fault, but Congress can do a much, much better job policing this stuff. There was actually a bill this week that the Oversight Committee passed in the House to make it so that Treasury could mandate that agencies stop payments when they suspect that there's a fraud problem. Apparently that's not as robust as it should be, and so there's a lot of things that just need to be fixed.
Well, some Biden or Obama judge will put a stop to that, I'm sure. One of our listener producers, Wolf, says, is the $40 trillion debt the critical point of the U.S. national debt? And you say?
The national debt, like I said, is crowding out opportunity. It is increasing costs, and it's also threatening the possibility of a debt crisis, which would make 2008 look like patty cake. The security implications, the economic implications, and even threats to like our constitutional order could be profound. So we need to get ahead of it and avoid it. Starts with the comprehensive budget. We should do a balanced budget amendment as well, but we have to have Congress that knows how to actually get there and stay there.
And we have to threaten Congress to do it. That's unfortunately that's what we have to do. Yes, that is true. Kurt Couchman, Senior Fellow in Fiscal Policy for Americans for Prosperity. There's a link to Americans for Prosperity, their website, right under Kurt's bio on my show notes for today. Kurt, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it very much. All right, have a great weekend. You're watching Your News Talk America. Back in just a moment. Christina Bowling is going to join us to talk more about Iran after news. Stay with us.
92.7 WGMD Rehoboth Beach and 98.5 WUSX Seaford, the talk of Delmarva.
Is it 60 days or not? I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Today was supposed to be the deadline for Congress to either declare war or authorize the use of force against Iran. There's disagreement in Congress about it.
The War Powers Resolution of 1973 says the president has to notify Congress within 48 hours of initiating military action, giving the commander-in-chief 60 days to carry out operations without needing authorization from lawmakers. That deadline for the Iran conflict has arrived, but Congress has made no attempt to enforce it, leaving town on Thursday after the Senate rejected an attempt by Democrats to stop the military action for a sixth time. Most GOP lawmakers continue to defer to the White House, but some say they want to vote at some point. The Trump administration argues that the deadline does not apply because the conflict effectively ended when a ceasefire began in early April. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Gas prices are up 34 cents a gallon on average this week.
The national average, $4.39 today. And with this standoff at the Strait of Hormuz, where 1/5 of global oil flows, some analysts do see $5 gas this month. That prediction assumes a stalemate and that demand isn't hurt by high prices. The Energy Department tells us this spike is temporary. Quote, gas prices will go down as soon as the conflict is over. Thanks to President Trump's energy dominance agenda, American oil production and exports are at record highs.
Fox business correspondent Lauren Simonetti. There are May Day protests around the U.S. today, including a small one so far this morning outside Trump Tower in New York. Protests started 140 years ago with demands for an 8-hour standard workday in the U.S. Organizers now are calling for a boycott of work, school, and shopping to protest Trump administration policies. Stocks are higher again today. The Dow's up 122. The S&P and NASDAQ hit new highs this morning. The NASDAQ over 25,000 for the first time. America's listening to Fox News.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-884-1012 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-884-1012. That's 800-884-1012. What do you have to lose? Call 800-884-1012. Again, 800-884-1012.
Delmarva's home for local news, 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva.
The news is brought to you by Wings to Go Longneck. Open every day at 11 a.m. Order on DoorDash or call 302-947-9444.
Good morning. Cheswick the Crab was on hand for the kickoff of the annual Walk Smart, Drive Smart, Bike Smart campaign with the Maryland DOT in the town of Ocean City. Eric Meehan says it's a collective effort and helps make Ocean City a safer place.
Public safety is our number one priority, and this plays a major role in us accomplishing Ocean City being a safe community.
This year's campaign includes aerial banners, billboards, social media outreach to local businesses, and print, radio, and bus advertising to emphasize Maryland's ease of traffic safety, engineering, education, enforcement, and emergency medical services. Delaware lawmakers taking a new shot at curbing illegal gun trafficking. Senate Bill 300, introduced by Senate President Pro Tem Dave Sokola, aims to establish a first-of-its-kind in-state licensing system for gun dealers. Under the proposal, sellers would be held to higher standards for security and record-keeping, while the Delaware State Police would be tasked with conducting regular inspections. Supporters call them common-sense measures, though the bill still has a long road ahead. It's been assigned to the Senate Executive Committee for its first round of consideration. NOAA Fisheries has officially aligned federal recreational Black Sea bass regulations with state rules. Beginning today, the minimum size requirement drops from 13 to 12.5 inches for both state and federal waters. The frustrating October closure has been eliminated too, as part of the rule change for fishing for black sea bass.
WGMD AccuWeather.
Cool today, sun giving way to clouds, 60 at the beach, 67 inland, mostly cloudy tonight, a shower or two in places late, the low 47 inland, 52 at the beach. Saturday, cloudy, cool, a little rain with the high 55. Remaining cool Sunday, some sunshine will move in, the high 59. And Monday, abundant sunshine and breezy. More on these and other stories, visit talkofdelmarva.com. I'm Jerry Latham, and in the Talk of Delmarva News.
Craving wings? Head to Wings to Go Long Neck, now under new ownership, where flavor meets freshness. Choose from 29 sauces and dry rubs. Enjoy traditional or boneless wings, always cooked to order. Try cheesesteaks and their popular soft-shell crabs. Conveniently located at 25938 Plaza Drive in Millsboro. Open daily at 11 a.m. Call 302-947-9444 or order on DoorDash. Wings to Go Long Neck. Simply great wings since 1985.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Our anchorman Jake Smith sitting behind the shiny golden microphone live from beautiful DS2 on this Friday. And if you are watching our program today via realnewstalk.com or Facebook Live, we welcome you. And I want to welcome back to the broadcast a very good friend of this program, and we've got so much to talk to her about today, Christina Balling, Senior Vice President, Institute of World Politics. And I guess, Christina, these days, all politics is global, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing the pace at which things are moving, no matter where one is in the world.
There obviously is arguments going on right now because the Democrats want to cut funding for Operation Epic Fury. They do not want Trump to fight this war. They didn't want him to fight this war in the first place. And I heard yesterday Kirsten Gillibrand, the junior senator from New York, badger the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, with the question of, what did Iran ever do to us? I mean, obviously, she doesn't have a clue, doesn't know that what Iran had done to this has done to Americans and how many Americans they have killed and maimed over the last 47 years. However, your understanding of the War Powers Act, 60 days, is it concurrent? Is it suspended during a ceasefire? What's your understanding of it? Because, well, I know constitutionalists think, constitutional scholars say, that the War Powers Act is unconstitutional, period. But what do you think, Christina?
Well, I think what is likely to happen is unless the Iranian proposal that allegedly went to Pakistan just in the last few hours is acceptable, I imagine we're going to proceed. I think there's a technical opportunity to extend for 30 days, but also past presidents have played fast and loose with these guidelines before. True. Obama in Libya and President Clinton in Kosovo. So I don't think President Trump is going to worry too much about that if, in fact, he feels we have to press on and hold the line.
There is a casualty of Epic Fury. It has nothing to do with any service member. It has to do with the further deterioration of the relationship between Europe and the United States. Yesterday, President Trump, he has had it with Italy, he's had it with Spain, and he's had it with Germany. And apparently Fred Mertz, and the last thing you want to do if you're a country is elect a chancellor by the name of Fred Mertz. I mean, that's probably the worst thing you could do, right? But the fact that he is all but decided he's going to pull troops out of Italy and Spain and a considerable number of U.S. troops from Germany, you can't pull them all out because of the threat from Russia. What are your thoughts about pulling troops, moving troops, or reassigning troops out of Europe? And you know what? They deserve it. We shouldn't be protecting them anyway. This has been in place since the end of World War II.
No, that's true. And I think that President Trump is right to be frustrated at the very least with our NATO allies. But also the State Department did recently send a cable over suggesting what is called the Maritime Freedom Construct. So that is
only Washington could send something called a Maritime Freedom Construct.
Exactly.
What the hell is that, Christina?
So what it is it's very vague, but it is encouraging diplomatic coordination and sanctions enforcement between the United States and unnamed allies. So that makes me think that there is some back channeling going on, even though President Trump continues with his justified tough talk with our European friends, or fair weather friends.
I think that's probably more accurate, fair weather friends. And there's an article in today's New York Post just posted recently that the Iranians are claiming that they're going to use trained dolphins with explosives strapped to them to attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, I hope at least the far left in this case, specifically PETA, actually fights against Iran on that note. I think our PETA friends, rather, would be upset by that. But, I mean, I don't know if someone said that as with a sense of humor or it's serious, but obviously a bunch of dolphins, as much as I love dolphins, are not a match for the U.S. Navy.
So you're not worried about Flipper then?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Well, I'm worried for his health because
that is true, and we know that the Iranians would go to any lengths to attack shipping. The Iranian economy is all but collapsed. It's not even collapsing anymore. Let me give you some statistics here. 2 million jobs lost, Christina. 98% value of their currency has been lost. Their inflation rate, do you think it got problems here in the United States with 3%? 67% inflation rate. The price of chicken increased by 75% since the start of Operation Epic Fury. Beef and lamb price increase, 68%. Now, these statistics that I just recited, they hurt the Persian people. They hurt the everyday people. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are. We haven't really seen anything since January with regard to the uprising of the people that are supposed to bring us the real regime change in Iran. What about those types of statistics? What do you think?
Unfortunately, I think as dire as they are, and of course they're going to get worse with every passing day.
Right.
The sick advantage that the regime has is their lack of consideration for the well-being of their people. They quite readily executed tens of thousands already. So unfortunately, as loath as I am to use the term, this is an advantage that the regime and the IRGC have, is that they are not, at least at this point, they're clearly not worried about a public uprising. And also,
because they have the guns, Christina. They're the ones with the guns. The people don't have the weapons, right?
That's right. Well, I would imagine that our folks are thinking about that possibility. You might remember there was a couple weeks ago, there was a rumor about arming the Iranian Kurds. But
We did, but the Kurds didn't turn over the guns to the Iranians that they were supposed to. They kept the guns.
Yes. Well, exactly. But yes, unfortunately, it has to get a lot worse for any hope of native regime change.
Really, and that is not good news.
No.
One of our listener producers, Wolf, has a question for you. After the regime falls, Wolf asks, will there be IRGC underground resistance? What do you say?
Well, I have to say it's still a big if the regime falls. I don't think that I would bet on it at this point. And I think there's a possibility that the IRCG would fight to the death to prevent that. So
Without
even if
question.
if the political side falls and Khomeini's son disappears or dies, or if in fact he's not already, the IRGC is not going to go down without a fight, literally.
And certainly they're not going to surrender, as President Trump has demanded, to the United States, the great Satan.
No way. Absolutely not. Because the thing about radical Islam, and it's very difficult for us to understand, is that, we have separation of church and state. Culture, government, religion, it's all the same thing in the eyes of the radicals. That's very, very difficult to defeat.
Great point. That's a great point. And that's what we're fighting against, right?
Yes, that's exactly what we're fighting against.
Well, apparently President Trump has to make or is going to make a decision on whether to resume hostilities in the next day or so. My bet is that we're going to start hitting their infrastructure. What do you think, Christina?
Yes, I don't see how we can get some sort of definitive win without further kinetic action. However, he could extend the so-called ceasefire, keep holding in the Strait of Hormuz. But I agree with you that I think eventually, I don't see how they would step down if we don't really hit them hard again.
Not with the IRGC mindset. And you know that Netanyahu is just itching to get the rest of the leadership of the Iranian Guard. He's just itching to get them.
Oh, absolutely. And there's no question. This is, Israel is obviously still incredibly active in Lebanon. That's the other conflict that continues to go on in a sort of pseudo ceasefire. But you're right. Netanyahu would want, or the Israeli people would want nothing more for the destruction of the IRGC.
Christina Bolling, Senior Vice President, Institute of World Politics. Christina, as always, thank you for being with us. And I kind of suspect we're going to be speaking to you next week about what's going on.
Sounds great, Jake. Have a wonderful weekend.
You as well. Thank you, Christina. You're watching Your News Talk America. We're going to be back to talk about the history of coffee. Yeah, I know. Coffee has a very long history. And could it be healthy for you? I know we hear reports. It's deadly one month, and the next month it's healthy for you. Well, we've got an expert on that thinks coffee's pretty special. We'll be talking about it next on Your News Talk America. You stay with us. Right back.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. High temperatures reach up to 66 this afternoon under mainly sunny skies. Winds out the west, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Slight chance for rain. Lows around 49. Chance of rain tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 59. Mainly sunny and dry Sunday and Monday. Low 60s. Sunday, low 70s by Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center along the coast. Currently 57.
The best mix of news, talk, and sports. 92.7 and 98.5. The Talk of Delmarva. News on the hour on WGMD.
11 a.m. Wellness Minute is locally brought to you by PAM Health Rehabilitation Hospitals. When a stroke strikes, every second counts, not just for survival, but for recovery. And what happens in the days that follow? That's where acute rehabilitation comes in. Unlike other levels of care, acute rehab offers intensive, personalized therapy starting just days after a stroke, when your brain is most ready to heal, offering physical therapists to rebuild strength, occupational occupational therapists restoring independence, speech therapists to connect words and thoughts, and a nationally recognized stroke-certified program. Studies show that stroke survivors in acute rehab recover faster, regain more function, and are likely to return home. So don't wait. Ask your doctor about acute rehabilitation at PAM Rehab, because the sooner you start, the stronger your comeback. For more, visit pamhealth.com or call 302-672-5800.
Try before you buy. Hi, I'm Chris Adams of Mattress Peddlers in Lewis, your local family-owned Serta mattress store. Visit our showroom to try out the best bed for you. Your decision on a mattress today ensures comfort for years to come. Feel the difference and decide. We have memory foam, hybrids, and adjustable bases. Take the time to stop by Mattress Peddlers in Lewis, open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 4 on Route 24 in Peddlers Village.
Tune in this Tuesday at 4:40 p.m. as I'll be live with Dr. Tiny and the housing segment. Learn how we can create housing options that work for everyone in our community. This Tuesday at 4:40.
Views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and not necessarily the staff, management, ownership, advertisers, or sponsors of WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Digital Interactive Friday continues. Your anchorman, Jake Smith, live from DS2. It has been one heck of a show today. And my friends, I don't know about you, but I get sick of hearing all these stories. 1 month we hear a new story. Coffee can be deadly. That next cup of coffee could be your last. And the next thing you hear, it's the healthiest thing on the face of the planet. Well, what's the truth? Well, the truth is something far different than what we've been hearing. And that is that coffee is pretty healthy for you. And it is a beverage that, by the way, may actually improve your health. And we welcome in, and we're first very glad to have with us, now that my pages have stuck together, and here we are. Okay, got it here. Is it Chris Killam or Kilham? Chris, can you?
It's Killam. It's Killam.
Okay, great. So I had it right the first time. Chris Killam is joining us, the medicine hunter. I like that.
Thank you.
This is going to be a title that our listener producer Wolf is going to love. You're an ethnobotanist who formerly held the title of Explorer in Residence at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. You're the author of a new book on coffee, The Way of Coffee: How Coffee Transformed the World, Promotes Happiness, and Protects Against Disease. Who would have thought that cup of coffee that you've been waiting online for 20 minutes at the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru is such a benefit for your health? But there you go. Chris, thanks for coming on Your News Talk America.
It's my great pleasure, Jake. Thanks for having me on. I want to know, have you had your coffee today?
Would you believe I am not a coffee drinker?
Oh, my God. Well,
my wife is, but I'm not. Well, I do occasionally have a cup of decaf, but...
Well, decaf is good for you, too. You know, a lot of people think coffee is caffeine, ignoring the other 700 or so compounds that exist in coffee, even more. As many as 1,100 compounds have been discovered in roasted coffee.
1,100?
Yeah, and most of them very, very good for you. You know, so I came up through the natural health movement and people saying, you know, coffee will cause pancreatic cancer and coffee will melt your bones and, you know, do terrible. It'll what was it? Burn out your adrenal glands.
Well, when I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, my mother said it would stunt your growth.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that a new one? Did you ever hear that one? So my grandmother, who was the ultimate coffee drinker, when I'd stay with her, she'd sneak me a cup of coffee when I was a kid and say, "Don't tell your mother I gave you coffee."
That's funny. You know, there have been rumors flying around for years that coffee is bad for you. But if you pay attention to the science, which is vast and deep and huge and goes back decades, there's this weird fact that coffee drinkers live on average a year and a half longer than non-coffee drinkers, and it doesn't matter what the cause of death. So that is a strange but absolutely adamantine fact. And in recent years, the media has occasionally, kind of cyclically promoted this fact. There are some really long-term studies of 30 and 40 and 60,000 people showing that coffee, for the most part, is very, very good for you for reducing the risk of several types of common cancers, especially colon cancer, helping to reduce the risk of Parkinson's, sharpening the mind in predictable ways, as is the effect of caffeine and its supplementary compounds, and aiding digestion. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on.
Wow. Who would have known?
The mythology, like if you're a person who's caffeine intolerant, you'll know it, because you'll drink a cup of coffee at 11 in the morning, and at 10 at night, you'll still be like, humming a tune or 2 in the morning.
That's right. That's true.
If you're a sort of a more normal caffeine metabolizer, then you can handle about 300 or 400 milligrams a day. You made a comment, though, about the beverage at Dunkin' Donuts. I'm not talking about a half-whipped caramel macchiato. I'm talking about a coffee. And either black or with a little bit of milk in it. That's where you get the health benefits. You goop it up, so that it's basically like a dessert. That does nothing for you.
So all those people that are waiting online for their morning frappuccino or whatever, they're not getting really the health benefit that someone who's just drinking a black cup of coffee is getting in the morning, right?
They're getting fat.
Well, yes, that's probably true with all the calories. All right, let me get some questions that I put together. And Chris Killam is joining us, medicine hunter, ethnobotanist, and the author, The Way of Coffee, How Coffee Transformed the World, Promotes Happiness, and Protects Against Disease. Do we know when coffee as a beverage was discovered? I don't remember it mentioned in the Old or New Testaments. Do we know, Chris?
It's probably around the 1200s or the 1300s in what we know now as Ethiopia. And it spread from there to Yemen and then across the Middle East. And then once it hit Europe, bango, it was all over. It became the biggest thing on earth.
So coffee originated then the Arabic or whatever, Arabica beans, I guess that's what they are. Those really were the first real discovered coffee beans that we know of in the world?
Yes. However, you'll find that in Congo, which is, not so super close to Yemen, in Congo, there are Robusta or Canephora beans that grow wild, and that has actually become the breadbasket for wild coffee that then gets hybridized into Robusta coffee, which shows up in canned grinds, and truck stop coffee. 2 o'clock in the morning when you pull into a truck stop, you may not be seeking that, like the finest flavored Hawaiian.
No, we want to keep our truckers awake.
You want something that will hammer you into wakefulness and get you across the Utah border, and so that's what that's for. But yes, the coffee that people prefer to drink originates from what we know as Ethiopia.
Really? Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, are there any chemical differences? You talked about all the benefits that coffee has, digestion and so forth. Do any of those differ based on the different coffee beans from the different regions of the world, Chris?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely,
really?
Jake. And that's the big thing. You see, the majority of people prefer what we know as Arabica coffee because it has better flavor.
Right.
But coffee is rich in this group of compounds called the chlorogenic acids, and they are so protective, and there are so many hundreds of studies showing their benefits to health that you want a concentration of them. You actually get a greater concentration of the chlorogenic acids and caffeine from Robusta coffee, which has a flat taste.
Where does that come from? What part of the world? What region?
Well, Robusta is grown profusely in Vietnam. Here's a weird thing for you. Vietnam is the second largest coffee producing nation on earth.
Is it really?
Yes. Yeah, Brazil's number one, and
Right.
Vietnam is number two. But Vietnam grows a huge amount of Robusta coffee. That's also true for Ivory Coast, West Africa. I've worked in both places, been in coffee plantations. They're beautiful, but the coffee doesn't have the flavor of the Arabica, so usually it gets blended in. But that does, to answer your question, have a greater concentration of protective compounds than Arabica. But Arabica's, when you drink a cup of coffee, you are slugging down a monstrous, whopping load of beneficial compounds. Nothing else you do in your diet during the course of the day, all the super smoothies you can name, they don't compare to the protective power you get from a cup of real coffee.
So, Chris, what you're telling us is the next time we hear one of these reports that coffee is unhealthy for us, go, baloney.
Yeah, make fake farting noises with your hands.
My friends, I have a link on my show notes for today so you can order Chris's book, The Way of Coffee, How Coffee Transformed the World. It really has. Promotes happiness and protects against disease. Maybe my first marriage would have worked out if we drank more coffee.
Who knows?
Who the heck knows,
Jake,
right?
Thank you so much, Jake. You take good care.
Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Best of luck with the book. And maybe if I drink coffee, I'll see you at Dunkin' Donuts at some point.
Someplace.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right. You're listening to Your News Talk America. Salute the Troops comes up in just a moment. Please stay with us.
Here is the Marine
Thank you.
forecast from the Taco Delmarva Weather Center. Sunny today with highs topping out near 61 degrees. And on the water, winds turn to the southeast by afternoon, 5 to 10 knots, seas 3 to 4 feet. The current water temperature is 57 degrees. At Cambridge, low tide 11:31 a.m., high tide 4:47 p.m., low tide 11:03 p.m. And at Rehoboth Beach, high tide 8:13 a.m., low tide 2:07 p.m., high tide 8:32 p.m.
MJ Powell, weekdays 3 to 6, here on 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD. Jake Smith, mid-mornings on WGMD.
This WGMD Fox Business Update is brought to you by Sussex Environmental Consultants. For a healthy home, call 302-947-1810.
I'm Susan Lee, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The NASDAQ has been topping the 25,000 mark for the first time today. Stocks are gaining on the first day of the month. Crude oil prices still elevated but have moderated. Brent crude at $108 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate at $102. Apple's quarter much stronger than expected. The stock's up more than 5%, giving a boost to the NASDAQ. Apple's revenue from iPhone sales rose more than 21%. Apple also is raising its dividend and will buy back stock. The ISM reading on manufacturing came in slightly weaker than forecast for April, 52.7, but S&P's reading on manufacturing for April came in stronger than expected at 54.5, suggesting business is picking up. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Thinking about starting your GLP-1 journey? Go to orderlymeds.com/radio. Get access to proven GLP-1 medications, licensed providers, and a plan built for real life. All online. No guesswork, no wasted time. Just real people, real answers, real momentum, and support that actually lasts. Join thousands already seeing results. Start now at orderlymeds.com/radio. orderlymeds.com/radio. Individual results may vary, not medical advice. Eligibility required. See site for details.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Your News Talk America Digital Interactive Friday continues, my friends. And today on Salute the Troops, we are going to honor those who are serving in the Middle East. And we are repeating a Salute the Troops that we aired back in March. And the reason that we are doing just that, repeating it today, is the way that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was treated the way he was treated by the Demcoms in the Senate yesterday. It was disgusting how they were treating him yesterday. And he has the back of our fighting men and women in the Middle East, wherever they are, all over the world, and we're very fortunate. All right, Dr. Murray Sabrin logged in, I believe. Oh, no, there he is. He got the message, and he is there, and we welcome him back. It's Countdown to 250, celebrating 250 years of American independence. Dr. Sabrin, how are you?
I'm doing great. A lot to talk about on this May 1st holiday around the world where people venerate the whole socialist agenda.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because the teachers' unions, the both of them, pushed their rank and file today to take their children out of class to participate in May Day festivities. And, obviously this is a day that, communists use to push their socialist Marxist agenda. And it calls into question why they are polluting the minds of our children, Dr. Sabrin, with this socialist Marxist claptrap. What do you say to that?
Well, I think the explanation is pretty simple, Jakes.
They believe it.
Public education is a socialist institution.
Yeah.
It's government-owned, it's government-controlled, it's government curriculum. That's why I think we need to decentralize education, make education choice a real choice for parents. And that means homeschooling, private schools, religious schools, non-religious schools. We need really competitive.
We need school choice, Dr. Sabrin. School choice now, right?
But I believe in the school choice where the government is not involved completely. The school choice we have today is where the government gives parents vouchers from their own tax dollars. So we don't need that. We don't need a middleman to allocate funds for parents to use their own money for educational purposes. We don't give vouchers for parents to determine what social media their kids should use, what cell phones they should have, what movies to go to. We need to have a free society. A free society is based upon individual choice, property rights, and get the government out of the parents' ways, out of the entrepreneurs' ways, and the economy will be booming like no other economy we've seen.
Savings plans by the government. Do you remember when we used to have savings stamps?
Yep.
Dr. Sabrin, I used to get them. I used to get savings bonds. I would save up for savings stamps. I had a little book, get it at the post office, and you glue the savings stamps on, and when you filled the book up, you would take it to the bank, and they would exchange it for a United States savings bond. It was a good way for us to learn how to save, right? Well, now President Trump, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, the best saving for individuals is to buy an index fund, as Warren Buffett recommends, because the average person doesn't have the time or the skills to analyze individual companies, or buy exchange-traded funds or a mutual fund. And this way you invest in the American economy. If you buy savings bonds, you're investing in bigger government. That's what you're doing.
Well, I was just trying to take you on a historic trip when I was 12, 13 years old, how I was learning to save. But no, I understand. But yesterday, President Trump announced a savings plan for seniors. And, I'm a senior. This is not something the government needs to be involved with. And I'm wondering what your thoughts were. I know the president is pushing this. He's down at the Villages, America's friendliest hometown. He's down there today pushing this plan. But the Trump savings plans for kids, what do you think about all that, Dr. Sabrin?
Well, what we've seen is a lot of these super wealthy individuals like Michael Dell and his wife have come up with several $1 billion.
Yeah, they've donated money, right?
So why do we need the government, which is bankrupt because they have to borrow all that money to put into the kids' savings accounts when they're born? It makes no sense. It's financially irresponsible. It's morally reprehensible. And it doesn't add to the notion of financial independence. We don't need the government giving us our tax dollars back for things that we could do on our own.
I had Judge Napolitano on yesterday. We were Yesterday was Thursday. Okay, so it was yesterday. And we talked about a number of issues. The fact that the government, if you're in trouble with the law, that the government can actually take your money away. In other words, they can basically bankrupt you. Dr. Sabrin, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, this is why the vision of the founding fathers of individual rights, civil liberties, no warrantless searches, due process, these are the foundations of common law that we should embrace, and we should let the government know we want them to abide by the rules that we have to abide by. And instead, they're really running roughshod over the American people. And that's why people are upset with what's going on in Washington. And this is not a partisan issue. This is a fundamental philosophical constitutional issue. And we need people like Judge Napolitano with his voice, his expertise on the Constitution, and others to stand up and say, and others to repeat these, we want to be left alone and do our peaceful activities in our communities around the country and stop meddling in our personal affairs.
Well, remember what President Reagan said all those years ago. Well, hello, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
This is the biggest. You're doing great. You got to get on some comedy hour or something.
Oh, you think so, Dr. Sabrin?
Absolutely.
You think I could make it in comedy in Florida?
Absolutely. I'll introduce you. I'll be happy to do so.
Dr. Murray Sabrin joining us, PhD. He's a Mises Institute Associated Scholar, Emeritus Professor of Finance at Ramapo College of New Jersey. That was, of course, my Tom Kane imitation. And Judge Andrew Napolitano calls Dr. Sabrin a courageous genius and an intellectual giant. But your message to us is, in this year that we celebrate the 250 years of America, it's not too late to demand the changes that the founders laid out for us all those years ago, right?
My simple message to the American people is we have an unfinished agenda. We need financial independence. We got the political independence from Great Britain. We now need the financial independence from the federal government. Right now, the federal government is spending money it doesn't have, borrowing so much money that now the national debt is 100% of GDP.
You saw that in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, that story.
It is mind-boggling. Plus, the farmers are being squeezed by the shortage of fertilizer. Washington can only make things worse. The only way they can make things better is just get out of our way. And unfortunately, both sides of the aisle don't believe in that, and that's why we have the mess that we're facing in the country today.
Well, you know, Washington is full of fertilizer. Perhaps they can share that with the farmers.
Well, as I begin my podcast, I'm Murray Sabrin, BA, MA, PhD. There's no BS in my background. Never has been and never will be.
Dr. Sabrin, before you go, one of our listener producers, 3M, he doesn't like this no tax on tips. He thinks it's bad for the economy. What say you, sir?
Listen, we have the right to keep our own money. When the government taxes us, it's basically taking money without our permission,
It's
even though
theft.
it's legislated. This is the whole point about taxation. It is really nothing more than legalized theft, because a private citizen can't take our money without our consent. So why should the government be able to take our money without our consent? This is why government can do things with impunity that if we did it as private citizens, we would be branded as criminals.
Well, that's what Judge Napolitano was talking about yesterday. He said we fought a revolution to stop the British from just kicking our doors down to serve us with warrants because we weren't paying our taxes to the king.
Right.
So, well, I want to thank you so much, Dr. Sabrin. And again, countdown to 250, celebrating 250 years of American independence. It's not too late to save the republic. We'll be back next Friday with Dr. Murray Sabrin. Dr. Sabrin, have a great weekend.
You too. Look forward to seeing you next week, Jake.
All right. I'll have my next comedy routine ready for you by then, Doctor.
Okay. Well, we'll welcome you with open arms in Naples.
Thank you. You're listening to Your News Talk America. Salute the Troops is up next. Stay with us.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. High temperatures reach up to 66 this afternoon under mainly sunny skies. Winds out of the west, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Slight chance for rain. Lows around 49. Chance of rain tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 59. Mainly sunny and dry Sunday and Monday. Low 60s Sunday, low 70s by Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center along the coast. Currently 57.
The Rita Cosby Show, weeknights at 10 on WGMD's 98.5. You're listening to WGMD.
Morning Star Publications produces the Seaford and Laurel Star community newspapers and the monthly business report serving Kent, Sussex, and Wacomico counties. While we print all news, our publications look for the news makers who are making positive contributions to our society. We also emphasize the accomplishments of our youth, both scholastically and in sports. Learn more about our award-winning publications by calling 629-9788 or visiting our website, starpublications.online.
Have you looked at your trees lately? Really looked at them? Complete Tree Care has a 76-foot lawn-friendly lift and specializes removing hazardous trees, dead wood, or removing that limb that has been worrying you. Best of all, our estimates are free. That's right, free. Have our trained sales specialists give you a written proposal. So make sure you visit us on the web at CompleteTreeCare.us. Call Complete Tree Care 302-947-2273, 302-947-2273.
Hi, I'm Clark, principal at Giuliani Associates. Before you build, you design. And design determines cost, efficiency, and longevity. A well-designed facility reduces friction and supports growth. Poorly designed one becomes an ongoing expense. If you're planning a restaurant, office, public facility in Delmarva, start with the right plan. Giuliani Associates. Architecture is an investment. Design at betterdelmarva.com. Design at betterdelmarva.com.
This is the Rehoboth Foodie. WGMD listeners know that Newsmax insider columnist Michael Hurd and I occasionally sit in weekdays from Mike, Jake, and MJ. Dr. Hurd is a mental health professional and a weekly self-help columnist in the Delaware Beaches newspaper. Be sure to check out Dr. Hurd's most recent books, Grow Up America and Bad Therapy, Good Therapy, available exclusively at drhurd.com. That's drhurd.com.
To honor those men and women who have defended freedom whenever and wherever it was threatened, the Talk of Delmarva presents Salute the Troops. Honor those serving this nation who willingly decide to fight to protect freedom and liberty whenever and wherever it is threatened. When Salute the Troops heard House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and others in his own party rooting for America to lose, which would lead to the deaths and injuries of our men and women on the front lines in the Middle East, we decided to make a bold statement. We can argue from dawn to dusk about the constitutionality of this war, of any war America fights. However, we stand for an American victory. We stand for an unconditional surrender of our enemy, and most of all, we stand for every man and woman wearing our country's uniform. For Salute the Troops, I'm Jake Smith.
Oftentimes, the wheelchairs our veterans and first responders receive from their healthcare providers are subpar at best. Some are falling apart, with a years-long waiting list for a new one. This lag causes a tremendous amount of stress for our heroes and creates a burden for their caregivers. Isolation leads to depression. We build what they need to get outdoors, hunting, fishing, or playing sports. Join the mission at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Played that Salute the Troops segment because I was outraged yesterday at the way that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was treated in the Senate at that hearing. He was also treated like crap the day before in the House. Now, I realize anyone who represents the Trump administration, when they are called to testify by the Republicans who call them to testify because they're the ones right now in control of the House and Senate, anytime the Demcom gets their time, they are going to just rip into anyone nominated and confirmed and serving the Trump administration. Goes with the territory, unfortunately. But what these Democrat communists are doing is got to be affecting the young men and women, our troops, who are serving this nation, many of them in harm's way in the Middle East right now. And when they are watching, and believe me, they watch, they've got satellite TV connections, they're watching what people like Pocahontas and Tim Kaine and the other maggots and Marxists, maggots in the Democrat Communist Party, what they are saying and what they're accusing Pete Hegseth of, it goes to the heart of those serving this country. And I've had enough of it. I really have. And we're going to support our troops. We're going to support Secretary Hegseth, who they probably hate him an extra amount because he worked at Fox, the Fox News Channel. Let's face it. But we don't usually take phone calls during the Friday show. But you know what? I want to see from our listening family here, and we'll take some phone calls. We probably got about 8-9 minutes left in the program. Did you watch any part of, or at least see any of the clips of what the Demcoms did to Pete Hegseth over the last couple of days, including accusing him of insider trading? The Democrat communists, who use insider trading better than anybody. If you don't believe me, just ask Nancy Pelosi. They had the audacity to accuse him and others working for him of insider trading. Yes, was there a soldier who was caught because he knew that we were going to attack Iran? Was he caught participating in insider trading? Yeah. Is he more at risk? Is he more at fault, more culpable than anybody else that serves in Washington that commits, that breaks federal law with insider trading? I'll let you be that judge of that. But how dare they? How dare they treat Pete Hegseth like this? With our soldiers, our sailors, our airmen, in another part of the world, perhaps ready to go back to fight in hours. The fact is that I'm sick of it. That they use their positions in the Senate and in the House to just prove what we know that they want America to lose. America's losing. America lost. How could we attack the innocent Iranians? That's what Kristen Gillibrand, the junior senator from New York, said. How could we do that? 800-518-9292. What do you think? 800-518-9292, 302-945-9292. All right, let's go to the phone calls and see what you have to say. Did you hear any of what was done this week to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth? Disgusting. What do you think? Go ahead. You're on the air on the Meineke Doing Car Care Right Talk lines. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Jake. Truck and curmudgeon in Twin Falls, Idaho.
Twin Falls, Idaho. Boy, my former program director, where I'm broadcasting from, broadcasts from Twin Falls, Idaho.
Oh, wow. It's a nice place, but it's too windy and too cold for me.
Okay, so what are you thinking? Did you see any of the testimony or the video when you were in Idaho?
Well, I just came up I was in Nevada all day yesterday, so I did hear some of it. You know, I'm a talk radio junkie, so you know, they're just playing their normal stupid games. They're little children. Frankly, I think we ought to just feed them some bad intelligence that's supposedly top secret information, find out who the leakers are, and deal with them in the courts.
But talk about the effects that it has on those serving this nation right now in harm's way in the Middle East. The fact that that you're saying America is bad, Iran is the good guy, America is losing. What does that do to the morale of those serving this nation?
I think that since they're under the auspices of Donald J. Trump, it doesn't hurt their morale at all, but it certainly shows a delineation between the communists and the patriots. So it doesn't hurt. I don't believe it hurts their morale. They sure don't want another Democrat to get in office. They fear that, I'm quite sure. But we know what side of the fence they're on, and so does the military.
Well, again, I just don't believe in this Trump derangement syndrome. I just think it is anti-American communist insurgency propaganda. That's what they're doing, disguised as Trump derangement syndrome. They hate this country,
Absolutely.
And they want this country to fall. That's what they want.
Absolutely.
Now, Trucking Curmudgeon, while we've got you on, you're a professional tractor-trailer driver, and you drive great distances. How are the higher diesel prices affecting you and your driving right now?
Well, they certainly affect me. I charge 25% more to go into California. I mean, everybody's up 25%.
Yeah.
So I guess I charge 50% more to go into California.
And rightly you should. Yeah.
And our cost of operation is higher, and they snivel about it. But there's still a lot of people out here that don't speak English and don't know their numbers, and they will do it. They will haul the freight at those low rates for now. But because they don't understand their numbers, the first big repair bill they have, they're not going to be able to pay. So the bank will get those trucks back, and those guys will be working in a 7-Eleven someplace. Overall, our rates are up. This economy's taken off.
Oh, my gosh. The economic news is fantastic, except for the fact that, yes, the rate of inflation is going up because of the high cost of energy, but the economy is humming right now, and we don't hear that.
Well, historically, I've seen these cycles. I've been through these cycles for decades, so I know the patterns. Now, going back to the old fuel prices prior to Biden's inflation, the economy hummed best when diesel fuel was around $4 a gallon, which everybody cried about, but that was because demand was through the ceiling. We got a supply when we have a shortage, so we have a supply problem. It's high, but when the demand is up, it's also high. So, and right now the supply is good, but the demand is way up. So, we're humming along pretty well. I'm not making as much as I was in Trump's
his first term.
His first term yet, but all the numbers look like we're going to be there probably by the end of the year. And I'm very optimistic about that.
You brought up those illegals who can't read English, can't speak English, have been handed CDLs by various states in violation of federal law, I might add. And for those who have heard the stories repeatedly about illegals killing Americans that have been here, there's no difference on an illegal killing an American, raping and killing your wife, then handing an illegal a commercial driver's license. It still shows that they don't care whether the American people live or die, Curmudgeon. Do you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. We're just expendable to them. But that's why they feed us crap food, and Big Pharma's making money from the sickness that they create from the food. we're just the useless eaters according to the New World Order, and they want to depopulate by 90% anyhow. So they want their slaves and they want the ruling elite, and the rest of us need to go away according.
Well, they want to get us in virtual internment camps at some point, and then eliminate us. Trucker Curmudgeon, it's great to hear from you, sir. Safety on the road, okay?
Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful weekend.
All right, thanks
God bless.
All right, thank you. And I want to say hello to Colonel Michelle Williams, aka Dr. Tiny. She's in Deutschland, and she is listening to Your News Talk America Digital Interactive Friday in Germany. Hello, Dr. Tiny. We miss you, and hopefully we'll get to see each other when you return to the States. Well, my friends, that's it. Quite a program today. Remember, you have a voice. Make sure your voice is heard loud and clear. Millie, Triel, you're home. But I miss you. See you on Monday. Have a great weekend.